Hello, welcome to Beyond the Barside. I'm Aaron J. Slightly different episode this week, so I'm going to start with an apology. I was unable to get 2 episodes done this week, but fortunately for you guys, Si, Dave and Aaron were able to step in and save the day. So before you start the episode, just a big thank you to Si, Dave and Aaron, and I will see you next week. Cheers, hope you enjoy.
Now there's Masters. Great chance here! That does it! Steve McGavin! And for the first time, Colchester United have won a major final.
Still Garcia, finally the company arrives and it's in! It's a freak out goal from Ricardo Carvalho. Richard Garcia wants the credit and the shock is on at the bridge.
And it's promotion for Colchester United. They've made it into the Championship for the first time in 69 years.
Porter, being held, there is Porter, and that's Marker!
Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Barside post MK Dons. And as you may well be able to see, we've got Aaron 2.0 as normal. Aaron J can't be with us as he has more pressing engagements tonight. So as a bunch of kids who had been let out to play when the adults were away, you've got to put up with us three. And to be fair, the week started really well with the women's team getting to the final of their cup competition with a 1-0 win. So they'll be playing down at Haybridge Swift on the 29th of April. And then we played Milton Keynes. And, Bill, Dave, wasn't the best of games, was it?
I actually thought we played pretty well. And we're going to go through the same theme we've been through in 2026, pretty much. Most weeks on the pod, up until that final third, I thought we were decent, especially in the second half. We absolutely controlled the game. I don't, either of you, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember them having a shot in the second half, MK.
I don't think Macy really was very worked, was he?
No. And it was, and it demonstrates, it's the frustrating thing. We're a really good team up until that final third. And I thought Arthur Reed absolutely dominated the midfield against, what you would, a very expensively assembled midfield. They got expensively assembled everything, haven't they? So I thought it's just another one of them. We are good up to a point, and it's the difference. It's the difference in League Two, most leagues, just having that quality in the final third, because we created moments without ever having anything clear. And I think I didn't get the chance to hear it all, but I think Danny actually mentioned it in his post-match interview about sometimes it's quantity, not quality. We got into a lot of good positions, moved the ball really well, and then didn't give ourselves the best chance to capitalise on it. So, yeah, it's a game. It's another game that shows we're a good team, but we're a good team that's probably going to fall short.
I think you're right. Sadly, it seems to be the same old, doesn't it? But yeah, they didn't have much in the second half, but the first half they did look a bit dominant at times, MK, and then we managed to almost gift them a typical Cole U style goal, didn't we, Aaron? What did you make of that?
Never ever will we see a goal like that fall in our favour. It always seems to happen against us, but never ever for us. I actually thought we executed. I think there was, when the team came out, there was a few raised eyebrows at sort of how we were going to set up and what we were going to do. Was Hunt going to play midfield? Were we playing with 5 at the back, etc.? And I actually thought we defended well the majority of the night, to be honest. We didn't give up a lot. Tucker, Flanagan done what they needed to do. I think Terry was, a solid sort of 7 out of 10, did what he had to do. Rob Hunt. And it just felt like they were going to have to do something special to score, albeit we weren't necessarily going to threaten too much ourselves. And then we give a goal up as we did, which Yeah, I think just kind of summed it up really, that it's maybe just not going to be our season as much as we all like to think. There was still that hope. I think if we're being picky, can't leave the man there for a free header as we did.
I don't know how he's in so much space in the box. It's like no one else was allowed in.
Yeah.
Was he taking a penalty or something?
Yeah, it was. That was the biggest mistake, was the fact he had the free header as he did. Obviously, I think if you look at the replay back as to when that header's taken, there's a hint of offside from Collins. Who then
it was a close one. I saw someone mentioned on Sky, they'd said so. Yeah. But when you look at it back, I don't think it was a howler.
No,
it didn't look it on Sky. Once you watched on TV, it definitely didn't look massive. This is like real clear cut League Two style officiating. So
I think it's one of those as well, that there was enough opportunities for us to avoid it getting to that point in the first place. So that should have been relevant, because the cross, you stop that, the header, you defend that. Comes back off the bar. Collins obviously quick to it. His contact goes onto the post, and then it hits Macy and goes in. It's just, it doesn't matter what your action times are, where Macy was, he was never going to be able to respond to it hitting him and stopping that going in. I actually spoke to Macy after, and he said it kind of hit him on the sort of back of his neck, so it wasn't even like the foot of his back where it might have actually stopped dead a little bit. It just happened in that moment that he can respond to it. And it was a real shame, because again, the time of the game it came, we'd kind of done, like I said, done well up to that point. We kind of executed what we needed to. The worry was, as that went in, how are we going to respond? Because, as has been said, our biggest problem is creating an opportunity, taking that opportunity, and I think it was then a case of getting into half time, and then do we look to change personnel or system, because now actually we've gone a goal down, we're going to have to try and do something different. And we sort of came out, obviously started the second half with the same team, and we got hold of the game. We were the dominant team. We had a lot of the ball and created, as Dave said and as Danny said in his interview, we created a lot of opportunities, but not good enough ones, because evidently we didn't find a goal. I think last night we probably put more crosses in the box than I've seen us put in a long time, but we're putting crosses into the box, and whether it be Sampson, whether it be Goodwin, we haven't got a striker that's there in the right place in the box. We had crosses going in, and you're looking at Rob Hunt at back post following one header in, or
that's it.
There was a moment where it was Jack Payne who's following in, and it's, yes, he scored a couple of headers this year, but that's not the player.
Not like that.
You're not a target man, though, is he?
Yeah. But the crosses, the crosses that went in all seemed to go. We did get more crosses in, but they went to the same place, which was always beyond either Goodwin or Sampson, and we've got our 5'6" fullbacks and midfielders attacking it. I don't think their keeper really made a save.
No, I think Payne had a shot from the edge of the box, probably our closest real chance. And I think, going back to trying to avoid saying the same things as what's being said on pod after pod, but going back to the issue around not creating enough quality, is we put all those chances we're saying, we put a lot of crosses into the box, and we still walk away with 4 shots in total, which, when you're creating that much, it's not good enough to try and get something out of the game, particularly against a team like that.
Now, in the first half, I thought, we said on the previous pod that we could see him going 3 at the back. I didn't think they would, with it being Terry at the back.
Yeah.
But obviously Danny's got faith in him. And he did okay. He always makes me very nervous when he's got the ball. Very nervous. But defensively, he was fine. We didn't, on a couple of occasions where we could break, Sampson and Kyrese were a little bit isolated, but I think that was part and parcel of getting a foothold in the game, to be able to then, because I think we did have spells. I think the first 10 minutes, I don't think we really saw the ball. Then I think Reed started to come into the game. Well, I think pretty much from 20 minutes, Reed was probably the best player on the park.
Absolutely.
For both teams.
Outstanding, wasn't he?
Just out of curiosity, how can he do that same move so many times and it works?
That little shimmy.
That shimmy.
Yeah.
It's just mad, because you think after he's done it times, how are they not wise?
Because he's that good.
And we all move as well.
Yeah.
But he really took the game by the scruff of the neck and was Showed real quality, which is in some ways a little bit worrying. Because I can see MK getting their checkbook out.
A very local team to
at the
him
end
as well.
at the end of the year, going, hello. But yeah, so a couple of times the first half we did get into good position, a little bit isolated. I thought I'm interested to hear what you both think about Samson's performance, because there's a lot of chat online. I actually think he did what he could in that formation. Put himself about, was a nuisance. Did his best to bring people in. He's getting better at that, but it's not the strongest part of his game. But I thought he did what he could, but there's quite a lot of negativity online. I don't know what you thought about it.
So I think to be fair, sorry, Aaron.
No, sorry.
The key, I think, the first talking point about Samson's game has got to be that incident in the 19th minute where he got booked.
Yeah, so you were so Si was watching it on telly. I think this is Si's. He mentioned earlier on about he was watching on telly. So happy birthday, Si.
Yeah,
Si couldn't go because it was his
I've had
birthday.
too many, so I don't let people know about that. Yeah, basically my wife wouldn't let me go, so she'll say it was not the case. I chose not to go, but basically she wouldn't let me go, and I'm not brave enough to go up against her. So Helmut's fine, the wife isn't. But yeah, so I personally
we can see how bad it was.
It looked, he knew exactly what he was doing. It was deliberate, forceful. And personally, I think he's very, very lucky to stay on the pitch. And sadly, 19 minutes into a game that we all said could decide whether we're going to be playoff contention or not is a worry. So I don't know how it felt with you guys in the stadium, if people thought, oh God, here we go, his discipline's let himself down again or what. But to me personally, he should have gone.
Did think there was a chance he might go. We couldn't see. It was a long MK. Little stadiums like you're quite a long way from that end of the pitch. Great stadium, but wrong team to have it, I think.
Completely lost on them. Yeah.
But no, it looked like if the red had come out, I wouldn't have been surprised. I actually felt afterwards he dealt with it quite well. We never looked right. I never after that, like you just said, Si, with Samson, you think, oh God, he's got a long time to get through this. But I actually felt he didn't go too close to the line.
No. What I found interesting is the ref obviously gave the foul for that incident. He's obviously seen it as a elbow, whatever you want to call it. So I kind of question how, if that's what he's seen, is he then not giving him a red card, to be honest?
I think it was the angle, because Samson's body's in the way of the player. She's kind of gone behind him. So I don't think the ref had a brilliant view.
I think it was one of those. He knew what he was doing. He was lucky to get away with it. And it obviously was with a player he just had a bit of a tussle with prior to that. So it sort of a bit of give and take between the two of them. Going back to what you said, though, Dave, about his performance, I think I agree. He actually did what he could. There was a few moments where the ball came up to him and he actually held the ball up quite well and was just looking for someone to set it off to. But he didn't have Payne, who would normally be that player there to set it off to. There was a couple of times where the ball came up to him and actually all he did was hold the man off and let the ball roll across and, get someone like Lisby onto the ball. I think the yellow card then stunted him a little bit, though, because obviously you're playing as a lone striker in a system where the ball's coming up to you and you're having to tussle with a defender. He was on a tightrope because of the yellow card. I think that really then hindered his game and why he was withdrawn probably when he was. I think the problem and the reason why Samson's spoken about so much is he's a number 9, but you never feel like he's going to score you goals. Yeah. And he probably actually, at times, you'd probably look at him as maybe a decent number 10, where you can play through him, but not as him as the sort of main man. And I think that was kind of one of the best chances in the first half when Anderson managed to set the ball across to Samson and he went to shoot. Fair play to their defender, but how many number 9s would have taken that opportunity and scored? And it just never felt like Samson was going to be able to do that.
It was a great block by the guy, to be fair to him. But and I kind of we've discussed it with Goodwin before as well. I kind of think they're both might be better suited to being the I know modern football isn't really like that, but the physical presence in a 2.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because for everything Samson's got, he's not a goal scorer. I don't think he ever will be. But he can definitely go higher, facilitating other players. And creating space and causing havoc for them to be able to fly. I'd love to have seen. Obviously, the stars didn't align, but a Danny Cowley Cole U team with Joe Taylor next to Samson.
Yeah,
that would have been great.
That's the combination. It's the players who do the hard work,
but
take the chances.
That's not going to happen. But yeah, I think some of the criticism is unfair. But in the situation we're in and sort of the themes we're discussing, yeah, as you said, Aaron, he's a number 9 that doesn't score, and it's going to bring that sort of scrutiny, isn't it?
And I think the frustration is you then look at, okay, we'll replace him, but then you're replacing him with Goodwin, who essentially is a number 9.
Same.
Also good in the 2, isn't he?
It's almost like we need someone who's the best finisher at the club who could maybe play up front to be available.
Yeah. And for them, sorry, Aaron.
No, I was just going to say, although he came on last night and obviously he's done really well coming off the bench, but he couldn't get into the game last night. Williams, I thought, when he came on.
What's he got to do to start? What's that guy got to do to start?
Mm.
Also, I think what doesn't help Samson and Goodwin to a point is when they're up with Lisby, he's so quick.
Yeah, you're not going to keep up
with him. So you play the ball with that long ball through to him, fantastic. He screams down the wing and then just has to kind of have a nap, wait for everyone to catch up with him.
You're almost, if you're Lisby, you're almost then getting to the byline, looking to put across it, but you're having to pull it back to the edge of the box or somewhere in that area because that's where the player's probably going to just be getting to by the time you're ready to play a pass. So I think I understand the criticism. I've been one of them at times where Samson, he's not scoring. It doesn't feel like he's going to score goals. But I do think last night against the team we were up against, the players he was up against, I don't really know what more we could have expected from him. I mean, there was a few people around me sort of grumbling around him, not tracking, not working hard. But again, in the system, you're kind of being asked to hold a certain area.
Exactly, yeah.
It's really hard to
get that. Yeah, I think because if that system breaks down with one person going out, then it's, especially with a really good team like that, you're in a...
And that's your first line of defence with him as high as he is as well. So I found that difficult. But
he gets the criticism because he's almost like a bit of a target man for all the criticism. So as soon as he does one thing wrong, everyone's very quick to the right. Let's see what's next. So, if it's Jack Payne doing that, everyone's like, oh, well, he's tried, but because it's Samson, there's that element as well.
I think the main...
Sorry, Dave.
Go
I was just going to say, you look at that, the chance Crawley last week with Goodwin where he goes to square it to Williams. Frustrating as that was, if that was Lyle Taylor last season looking to square that ball there, is anyone then saying anything? But because it was Goodwin, it's unfortunately viewed in a slightly different way. And I think it's just indicative of where we are. Look, we knew coming into the season, what the situation was, and unfortunately we just haven't quite got the quality there. Although ironically, the top end of the pitch was where we thought we had probably too many players at the start of the season, and that's where we're actually struggling the most.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was we did get wide. Edwards did okay when he came on with regard in respect of attacking his fullback, but every time we got into those positions, you never really. And one thing we don't have, we never really have an option on the edge of the box.
No,
do you know what I mean? So we and other teams do. I remember when we played Grimsby at home, the goal they scored was a cutback. They'd done that 4 times. Yeah. Before that goal, and there was someone there all the time. They worked it really well. It was almost like a quarterback doing a check down. Right, option 1's not on, option 2's not on. Right, I've got that person. I know that person's going to be there to lay it back to, and we don't really do that. And I think the only option we often have is for one of the wide players from the left or the right to just sort of put it into that melee.
Yeah,
and lead two defenses are going to be able to deal with that. And we worked it quite often really well around the box. And then one thing I always like teams doing, and that really good Notts County team from a couple of years ago, that Dan Crowley played for,
the Luke Williams team,
they got to that sort of not out wide, but sort of a quarter in, sort of just inside the penalty box aside, and dinked it in that way. We got into a lot of those positions, but just never really did it, and we shifted it. And really organised teams at any level you can shift them. They only need a second and a half to get back in.
Yeah.
And then you've got to recycle, which we're good at that. But
Very good at that.
sometimes you've just got to like we take that risk, because again, like we've been saying for the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think going on, just you mentioned Reed earlier and how he got the game by the scruff of the neck and did really well. Another player that I thought really, for me, showed a lot last night was Kane Vincent-Young. I thought he had a really, really good game. He was trying to get us forward. He was trying to be quite progressive in how he was playing and obviously where he was playing. And it looked like he gave us quite a bit of an attacking threat. And unfortunately, he was starting to do quite well down the left-hand side just before we then brought Edwards on, and Kane then shifted to right back. And it felt like we might have got some sort of joy if Kane had carried on in that position. I mean, Edwards done okay when he came on, but I don't know if that necessarily helped or hindered us to an extent. And as I alluded to slightly, the subs, I don't think necessarily got to impact the game yesterday in the way that we've seen them recently. I think when they came on, the ball seemed to drop to Romeo quite a lot, but he couldn't quite sort his feet out, and the ball was sort of bouncing away from him, and it kind of felt like the chances were just sort of dropping to the wrong person every time.
I felt Romeo looked a little bit rusty against Crawley when he came on as well, to be honest, and we missed. Obviously, Ellis wasn't playing, but he was doing the fitness, the laps, and he was involved in the pre-match warm-up. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that means he'll be back for Bromley. And obviously, again, with heavy heart, it points to with Bishop not being there as a purely business decision. I can't really see him being at the club next year. But should we move on to the one-word review side? That's what Aaron does, isn't it?
I think so. But he normally like randomly reads them out. So have you got hold of?
Well, I've got them in front of me.
Yeah,
to be honest, people must have known it was there's going to be a lack of professionalism with you and me on it.
So, of course it is.
But we got Alan Smith put gutsy, which I'd agree. I think it was quite a gutsy performance. Stuart Garrard said build brackets for next season. I'm going to allow that as we build and then a bit of
build's just fine, isn't it? Just for the context.
And Ben Harrison, toothless again, as we have been following that theme. Si, have you got a word?
Repetitive, because we could have just changed the wording from the last pod to Milton Keynes, and we could have said the same thing. So yeah, mine's repetitive, mate.
Okay, Aaron.
I thought about this.
Come on, you're meant to be Aaron 2.0.
I know.
Newer, advanced.
To be fair, he's doing exactly like Aaron normally does. He's trying to like mumble his way through it. So it's fine. He's pulling it off.
I think my word would probably be effort, and I mean that in the sense of my sort of speaking to Si after the game yesterday. I said the same. The effort was there. We're just not good enough.
Yeah, I was going to say almost exactly the same to you, Si, but I was just going to say rinse, just because it's rinse and repeat. But again, ultimately, I think it was a good performance. If this had been 10, 12 games into the season, you go to MK and take them on like that and effectively outplay them, I think, second half on their own patch. You take a positive. But now we've got a nice easy one at the weekend just to get that out of our system, haven't we?
Oh, yes. Move on nicely to Bromley, top of the league, and seem near on impossible to beat at home. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on that, Dave?
I think, they're unbeaten. Unbeaten at home. I think they're unbeaten overall in about 20 matches in the league. One interesting thing, Michael Cheek has been out the last couple of games. I don't know if that's a long injury, whether we're back at the weekend. I think he might still be out, which is obviously a big bonus for us. They still play the same way though, but he is absolutely fundamental to them. So we might have caught a bit of a break there with him not being available. It's going to be tough in some ways. On the last pod we mentioned, you know what you're going to get with Bromley. Can you stand up to it? Yeah. If we have the same control, if Arthur Reed can have the same influence on the game as he did yesterday against MK, then I think we've got a great chance. Barbrook, Barbara did okay. I think he'll start again. And because we know how they're going to play, I suspect we'll go back to the 4 at the back because we did well. It means we can definitely get Jack Payne in the starting lineup to create. We should, and there's a great point Flanagan made after the game, actually. The size of that pitch made it difficult for us to play our pressing game. Bromley don't have that, so we should hope that pressing a bit higher, maybe win the ball back in more situations. So you need Jack Payne on the pitch there. And, maybe Williams will get a go. Smaller pitch, not as much. They're not going to give Lisby much in behind. Might more of it. His technical ability might come to the fore more, but it's going to be tough. Again, I know we are where we are and we need to win. I'd still take a draw, but don't know how you two feel about it. I think we'll go back to the standard 4-2-3-1, and a very similar team, but with Jack Payne in instead of Terry.
Yeah, it probably makes sense. But Aaron, see, when we played him at our place, Danny was very quick, so we got Bromley. What do you think we need to change and do to really affect the game, or to actually get something out of it?
I think it's they have one way of playing. They're not going to deviate from that. So we know what we've got to set up against. It's how we then feel the best way of nullifying and countering that is, and actually countering is probably where our hopes will lie. They're loading the ball forward. We're then looking at, can we get hold of the ball? Can we then turn it over quickly and get your Lisbys or Williams or whoever it might be in at the top end of the pitch? Because let's be honest, yes, they've got big players. You look at their defence, you got your own Omar Shwemni and people like that. They'll do what they're good at well, but are they going to win a foot race against your Lisbys, etc.? If we can get in the right areas behind them, probably not. So that's where we need to look at that. And I think that's why, as Dave said, Payne sort of slotting back in there to get hold of the ball and give us something to play through when we get hold of the ball, I think is a really good option. I actually do think Ellis will come straight back.
I think he will. Yeah, good point.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that, Dave, because every time you've said it, he hasn't played. So
I saw him running on a football pitch.
Oh, fair. So that's making progress.
I'm more confident now.
Yeah.
It seems like a good omen.
He's getting closer.
I think he comes straight back into the starting lineup there at left back.
Absolutely.
You've got obviously Kane at right back, and then I think Flanagan, Tucker, and there's your back four, I think. And then if Bishop's still not available, then Barbarock, Reed, Payne, Lisby. I can potentially see Anderson staying in the team purely because he's got a bit of physicality about him.
That sort of physicality and drive. You've got to have that against Bromley.
Yeah, and then actually Samson, he will enjoy that sort of game up against hustle and bustle defenders. It's just whether he's got the right players around him to then him to be effective. But again, the question mark comes that where do the goals then come from in that system? And you're looking for someone to step up and get hold of that.
Yeah, I really hope we take more shots.
Yeah,
just we'll get. They defend their box really well. I think Reed and Payne will get possession quite often between the centre circle and the box. Just take some shots, lads.
Yeah,
follow in, and if we get wide, I mean, like you said, they're a team of giants. Be cute.
Just low and high.
Whip it in. They can't. I mean, to be fair to them, they're not immobile, but they're still 6'6", and if you whip it in, they've got to sort their feet out. Sometimes it's going to go wrong.
And we've scored the last 2 months, we've been nominated for goal of the month from shots outside the box. So we know we can do it. So why we're not doing it more often? But on that happy note, what are we going along for score lines then?
You can go first. You're the guest, Aaron 2.0.
I think you're looking at a 1-0 because I don't think we're going to give up too much defensively.
He's pulled this Aaron off so well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. My head says we're going to nick a 1-0, but my heart says I can see us losing a tight game, a bit like the MK Dons game. I'm going to go 1-0 to us just because that's where I want it to land. but I think it's not going to be a game of many goals.
No. Yeah. Shall I?
So I'm going for a 0-0 draw. I think
not a bad shout, to be honest.
We'll defend well. We won't get any chances, but we'll limit them as well. And yourself, Dave?
Shall I invoke the spirit of original Aaron? I'm going to say, I think both teams will be on the pitch, and I think if one of those teams scores more goals, they'll win the game.
It's fair.
So that's my tribute to Aaron. I say tribute. He's coming back. He'll be back in the next episode.
He'll be back next week. Yeah, absolutely.
And just on that, what else Aaron normally does? Thanks for listening, everyone. If you could like and subscribe and share it, it would be really amusing for me and Si if we could see a spike in subscribers and likes after this episode.